what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Lineage Break, a Grand Archive TCG podcast. I am your host, Cam. With me, as always, is the glue, Steven.
Hi, Cameron.
Hello, Steven.
How are you, Cameron?
I'm all right. We're chilling. I feel like it was a little loud on that one. Am I a little too excited today? I'm a little too jazzed?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Because, like, the last 3 weeks, we've had sad Cameron.
I'm jazzed.
Where she's like, I'm so quiet. I don't know what to talk about. And now
I'm jazzed.
we have a lot to talk about today.
It's not even for me, you know?
It's for me.
I got basically nothing to talk about as far as, you know, the wife is concerned. But you, sir, you're up huge.
I'm failing from success, chat.
And we will, we'll cover all that. We're going to talk about our Mercurial Heart design notes today, as we got them on the anniversary stream that was as of recording last week. Thank you, of course, to TM32 and Weebs of the Shore for putting that on and for having us do a little guest appearance on said show.
Yes, it was very fun. I was at the bottom there for a while of that. Glad to get second place right at the end there.
I also got second place, so.
Well, you only had 2 teams.
I'm gonna say that one's not my fault, but it was a miscommunication.
I won't judge anyone for anything being said. However, it's wild not to consider fast cure clergy.
Listen. And shout out to Belle, she did a great job.
Great job.
But I think it was like the communication wasn't quite there between, you know, our team and our team lead there.
Yeah.
But we've built that ground floor now. Right. So when we do the rematch at Worlds,
correct,
we're gonna knock it out of the park.
Correct.
Without even a thought. So.
Yep. It was real tough watching because I was like, oh, Shinja is just he's literally laying down heaters, and that other team was just knocking him out.
Shinja was being a little cringe, I think.
I don't know.
The one at a time, the playing softball. I need some more, some more Chad tactics.
I don't know. Play softball, win the game seems good to me.
Listen, we were right there. It was so close. It was so close. All right. Anyways, it was great to be on the anniversary stream to celebrate Grand Archive's first birthday, as it were.
Happy birthday.
I really enjoyed hearing Syl talk about the history of the game. Yeah. I thought it was super interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
A lot of people glazed over, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's cool to see how something changes through the creation process,
right? And
how many behind the scenes things that happen to make a game like Grand Archive happen.
Yeah, and we us probably not most of all, but us partly. We're complainers, right? And we always want to say that all of our criticism of the game comes from a place of love because we love the game so much. And I think it's great to, at least for us, to have a window into some of the things that he went over, explain decisions that I know that we've talked about on the show, like why did they do this, and this doesn't make any sense to us. And it's really good for us to have that context, especially, to be able to look forward and be the past dictates whatever, right? This is why this happened like this. So yeah, super, super cool. And we are obviously very excited for the future of Grand Archive. Something else that we're really excited for, Steven. This is the last podcast ever. No. This is the last podcast that you guys are going to get from home base. This is our last live stream, at least probably for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Good morning, Shinja. Because this Wednesday, 4 days from now, we are going to Las Vegas.
Yeah. 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m.
We are getting in a car, and we are taking the trek to the airport for our 6 a.m. flight.
Mm-hmm.
So we can land in Vegas at 9 a.m. On Wednesday morning.
Woo-woo!
And we're going to get bottomless mimosas, baby.
Mimosas at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. That's our plan. We have lots of plans over the weekend. We're going to try to do a lot for you, the wonderful viewer. If we do not see you at Vegas, we are going to bring you as much Worlds content as we can. We already have a couple of very special guests that are going to be on the show. We bring the whole podcast setup, not this one, but a different podcast setup. You guys probably have seen the shows we did in Houston.
Yeah, if you for a fan of the show, same setup we had in Houston.
We have lots coming. Lots coming.
Yep.
Maybe some returning guests.
Returning guests.
And some other ones.
Yep.
We will finally, I've locked it in, and we can tell you now that Lineage Break will not be like the rest of the content creators on the internet, because we shoot everything here in studio. We don't do any online guests. So finally, Lineage Break's going to have a member of the team from Weebs of the Shore on the show. Confirmed.
It's been a long time coming.
And we'll talk about that as the week goes on. You'll see us post about that stuff.
You will also see TM daily vlogs. We're gonna try to put out some vlogging videos while we're there to satiate your miss of a Friday live stream.
To be fair, I appreciate Steven's ambition. We will be releasing nothing next week. You might see some vlogs after we get back, but we certainly won't have time to edit any vlogs and release them while we're
edit. Who says edit? We're just putting raw footage
in Vegas. But yeah, we're gonna try to do some vlogging and show you guys our experience through our debauchery. It's gonna be a very busy weekend, so I'm gonna need the both of us to keep each other honest, because it's very hard. As somebody who has done it before, it is very, very difficult when you're having fun and doing lots of things and being very busy to take the time to turn on the camera to film stuff.
Well,
so we gotta to keep each other honest and be like, hey, we should turn on the camera and be a little bit cringe. Boop. Like
that's
that.
Fine.
Yeah.
I also need the GoPro so I can mount it to my chest.
I have a GoPro somewhere. I don't think we want to do that, but I think I have a GoPro.
I do want
to do that. It's an old GoPro, though. I bought it probably I don't know, 8 years ago or something. Vlogging's hard, but I do want to do it. I do want to share a little bit of our journey with you guys. And it looks like no announcements yet, but I should have an amount of free time, ? Throughout the weekend. So, we'll see.
Okay.
I'll try to get the camera up, is what I mean.
Okay.
While I'm casting. Not literally while I'm casting, but
maybe. Also, check out our Twitters, because we'll be posting pictures of what we're doing throughout the weekend, or week, I guess, because we will be there for 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wednesday to Monday.
Yeah, a lot, long time. Yeah,
so
we're leaving Monday at midnight. So we're there for basically 5 whole days.
Right. So
lots of debauchery.
Yep. So check out our Twitter. We'll be posting content there a little bit, not too much, but if you miss our faces, we'll be there.
We're very excited. If you guys are going to be at Worlds, feel free to come and say hi. We are. Any amount of you that are watching this live or watching this later next week when it comes out, of course, we just appreciate that you watch the show.
Yeah.
It stuns us that anybody watches us at all. So, feel free to come up and say hi. We're not, the celebrities. We're just two dudes that talk behind this desk once a week.
Correct. Also, if you're at Worlds, a little bit of a selfless promo, but we still have a few of these.
Look how cute she is.
Beautiful Arisana mats. There's not many left, but we do have some, and we will have a few for sale with us when we come to Worlds.
And if you guys want to directly contribute to our death and our inevitable alcohol poisoning, if you hand us cash at the event for your Arisana mat, we hand it to the bartender.
Correct.
So thank you very much.
Yes. Any sales of Arisana mats at Worlds directly go into the alcohol fund for Cam and I, and who knows, maybe if we get drunk enough, we will do silly dances for you.
I have heard. I think that was on the show. Was that on the show that Steve said he would do TikTok dances for the vlog, right?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, you guys keep in mind that is on the table. All right. So, enough shilling aside, we're very excited to see you guys in Worlds. But before we get there, we have some exciting stuff to talk about. Did you know, Stephen, that in 2 weeks from today, Set 4 comes out.
Is that Mercurial Heart?
Dude, that's crazy. It's 14 days from right now. We will have all sorts of fancy MRC cards.
If I was remembering correctly, that's just about 200 cards.
I know, 191.
Wow.
And that doesn't even include the recollection cards.
Correct.
So many cards. It's basically a full booster set.
Correct.
It's basically ALC2.
Correct. Which is fantastic.
Yeah,
I hope you
super
guys are
excited.
excited as we are.
We're
over here at
actually
Lineage Break, because our group chats have not stopped popping off since Sunday.
It's an exciting time to be alive, and we shared the beautiful design notes from Zilladar this weekend. And so today, since that's why you guys are here, we're going to talk about the design notes, how we feel about stuff. We are not going to, per se, cover like literally every spoiler. Of course, our beautiful editor will leave the link to the design notes in the description for me so I don't forget. And you can follow along with us as we go. So we're going to start at the top. Before we get to any sort of MRC goodness, we have a couple of very special products to talk about in the form of the recollection decks. Before we do that, Stephen, I want to be very clear. These are sweet. I think the recollection decks are like maybe the best starter product of any card game I've actually ever played.
After we have seen some of the cards out of these, I would have to agree. These both feel like just the cards alone that we know that are in these.
Yeah.
Feels like we're being handed two competitive decks.
It's like kind of wild. And Sil said on the stream that these aren't necessarily going to be like as good as a competitive deck. Somebody asked about like Divine Relics in the recollection decks, and they're not going to be like you take this to Ascent and you win, right? But I agree. I think what we've seen, they seem very like local event level competitive, sort of like many games have tried to do in the past. And we don't want to spend our time on the Grand Archive show dogging other games, but I think it is worth noting that especially recently, some other games that will remain unnamed have been putting out products like this, and the Grand Archive product just far and away is better than any of the other games that I've seen try to do this sort of entry product for local tournament play.
Correct.
And so we're just super excited.
And not only that, like the packaging is beautiful. The sleeves that
Dude,
you
get
get
sleeves,
are beautiful.
You
like
get full play sets,
right? Like everything about
life counters.
Yeah, everything about this is fantastic. I think it is like a knock out of the park, and I hope to see more products like this in the future from the Weebs team. Yeah,
I'd have to pull it up again. I only watched usually I'm the cursed man that takes everything that Silidar or any of the Weebs team says and takes it very literally, so they don't tell me anything. But I'd have to check the stream again. But I think he said something about recollection products in the future, and that they're a little bit like they're easier to design because they're a sort of microcosm, right? Like when you design the Tristan deck, you only have to worry about cards with Tristan on them and things that fit towards Tristan's theme. Right. And it's way easier to sort of create that aside from a main booster set. Obviously, Tristan bleeds a little bit into the main booster set in this case, and we'll talk about that as we go on. But
yeah.
All right, so we're going to start by talking about Sylvie.
What a
Slime
wild
Sovereign.
What a wild place to be.
Sylvie. We're talking about Sylvie.
We're talking about Sylvie in a positive light. We're not just clowning on Trent.
Yeah. She seems great. To be fair, I think she does seem worse than Tristan, but so far she seems really good.
We haven't seen all the cards in these boxes
I agree.
yet. I kind of want to play Sylvie.
You could.
As like a pet deck.
Sure. Pet, because animals.
Haha. Hey, you don't have to explain the joke.
Oh, all right. I thought I did. I'm sorry.
But no, she looks super sweet.
So yeah, Sylvie's getting a new spirit, which is super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting Spirit of Slime, which is a normal spirit, so sort of like Lost Spirit. She does not have any elements enabled. It is on enter, draw 7 cards, but the inherited effect allows you to ignore the elemental requirements for slimes.
Which is very cool.
You activate, which is cool. So you get to play sort of a 3 color deck, get to have access to wind, water, and fire, but you don't get to play any of the like powerful staples from the game, stuff like Zephyr, Creative Shock, all of that. You don't get access to those, so I think it's a really easy way to sort of differentiate like this sort of strategy from something like Prismatic Sanctuary that gives you like full access to all colors and is obviously more powerful. But this is just on your spirit, which I think is a really interesting way to.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out
it.
though, like, I mean, obviously we'll get into it, but like, they did print us slimes that fill the gaps for those staple cards.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that we can see sort of shades of other powerful cards in the cards that we see for Sylvie. So she gets like sort of access to these effects, which I think they handled the flavor really well, where all of these, not only like the Sylvie flavor of slimes and all that nonsense, but the flavor of all of these element cards very much like feel like they fit into the thesis of wherever they're coming from, especially when we get to some of the advanced element stuff that feels very like rooted in their advanced element, which is cool. Something to note about Sylvie, which they did say on the stream, is that Sylvie did not make the trip over to Azoth as Tristan did. So Sylvie's Recollection deck takes place in Cambria, so that's why we have Terra, Luxem, Crux, Arcane as our advanced elements, because Sylvie stayed behind in good old Cambria. Sylvie herself, we've finally seen the text for Sylvie Slime Sovereign, and she says the next time you activate a slime this turn, costs 2 less to activate, comes in with 2 additional buff counters. Very good. Makes a lot of these free.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of them big. Yeah. It's especially good with the baby slimes that we'll talk about in a sec, that do not have any pride requirements.
Yeah, because they're animals now.
Very strong.
It's very good.
Yeah. I think there's not a whole lot to be said. It's a very powerful effect. It's not like super flashy. It's not, like combo oriented. It just gives you a discount, and discounts are great. And it gives you extra power and life, which is obviously terrific.
Right. Yep.
So, as we just said, she's also getting a suite of baby slimes, which notably are animals. So something that Sylvie players of the past will know, that all of the slimes are beasts, all of the original slimes from DOA. So in order to make this sort of animal-beast combination work for Sylvie with Slime Sovereign, they did have to create animal slimes, and they did. And these are very strong. I think the most notable, the one that people have talked about the most, is Baby Green Slime, which is just Zephyr on a body. Correct. It's a 1/1 that has Zephyr stapled onto it. That if you're a tamer has fast activation, so it just gets, like we had mentioned, it allows you to play those sort of like staple effects from their colors without necessarily playing Zephyr itself. You get to play it in the form of a ally, which is really neat.
Yeah.
And we see that as well with the fire one and the water one. They have that sort of flavor. The fire one is very similar to something like Hasty Messenger. The water one is very Korhazi Trapper adjacent. So.
Right.
Damage prevention in water, discard in fire, interaction in wind. They're very sort of rooted in their color's identity, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
after you, Steven, I can't talk all day.
Well, I don't know. I didn't know where you wanted to swap here. So we also have beautiful things coming out with slimes. You need food, right?
You gotta feed the slimes.
Yeah, you gotta feed your animals. So we have a couple of new items. We got a Regalia, which is key slime pudding, and I love puns.
It's pretty good. I'm a little bit upset that I saw on Twitter, because I'm always watching. I'm always out there on the Twitters. I saw that Belle, the new creative lead for Weaves of the Shore, that did a lot of the like naming and flavor text and stuff for the Recollection decks.
Yeah.
This one had a couple of different names in testing, one of which was Afternoon Tea Slime, which I also really like, and I'm sad that one didn't make
really
it.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, key slime pudding's real cute.
Yeah. This one just you can banish it Until the end of the turn, slime allies you control enter your control with an additional buff counter on him. Seems very indicative to, some other cards that we've seen in like an ally-controlled deck, where it's just like you want to buff them up.
Buff counters are good.
Buff counters are good.
Especially when they go wide.
Yep.
This is, do you think the slimes are eating the slime pudding? Are slimes cannibals? Are they eating each other? Is that what's happening?
It says tamer food. So I would assume yes.
It's a little dark.
There's no eyes on this one though, so I'm thinking maybe it's not like a sentient slime. It's just made of slime.
That's a good, yeah. It's like they shed their skin like snakes.
Yeah,
we get that extra slime.
Something like that.
No slimes were harmed in the creation of this pudding.
Yeah. And then we get a normal tamer card called Forest Cake.
Looks delicious.
It looks delicious. All of these cards look delicious. I'm very hungry.
I don't know if I'm eating the slime pudding, to be fair, but
it's just Jello. It's Jello with a cherry on top.
If you served me Jello,
yes,
and said, "Here's some Jello. Would you like some Jello?" That is very different from if you served me Jello and you said, "Here's this slime I made. Do you want to eat my slime?" I probably would say no.
But this cake looks good.
Yeah.
This is an item card for the main deck, which is we've seen this a lot lately, where it's very cool.
They're broken, I hear, items that go in your main deck.
Yeah, broken? Yeah, items that go in your main deck, pretty good. This has a on-enter draw card, and then class bonus whenever an ally or beast ally enters, animal or beast ally enters the field under your control, you may sacrifice it to put a buff counter on it, which is, again, going on that same line of you're going wide and make sure they don't die.
It's also a very strong turn 0 play, which is cool because it draws a card, so you can like sort of set these up when you don't really have threats that you want to deploy on turn 0 because you're worried about them getting removed by your opponent. You can do something like this, which allows you to have like a little bit of extra power in the late game, but replaces itself in the immediate time. So it does seem quite good, I think. But we'll see. We'll have to ask. We will, of course, get our resident Tamer player, top 15 ELO Lineage Break Trent on the show while we're in Vegas, because surely he'll be with us most of the weekend.
Correct.
And we'll get his thoughts on Sylvie's new digs. Maybe we'll try to do that later in the weekend, like Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
So that we can talk about all of the spoily stuff from the preview event Saturday night.
Correct.
All right, moving on. We're back to the slimes. But this time, they're advanced element slimes. Now, I would like to note
that we were right again.
I was watching the podcast from last week. It's just like all this shit, all of it. We were just like spot on, and like I said, I got a big mouth, so they don't tell me all the secrets. Right. So like we're just firing from the hip, and we are hitting them, dude.
Yeah, we are 100%. We're never wrong.
Never wrong. So first, we got Ghost of Pen Slime, which doesn't draw 2 cards, but draws a card. We sort of get that flavor, like we were talking about with the basic elements in Storm Slime, Lustrous Slime, Verdant Slime, all sort of feel like their identity. Crux returns Regalia to draw cards, or it banishes Regalia. Banishes Tamer card from your zero deck. To draw a card. The Storm Slime does damage equal to slimes in Banish, which is really cool.
Yep.
The Lustrous Slime reveals slime cards.
Yeah.
Verdant Slime's a big old dummy that also destroys Regalia.
I would like to just point out, Lustrous Slime is more broken than any Crux card.
It's pretty good
because
look how cute they are. They're just
surely every card you're playing in your deck is a slime card.
Yeah, it's
so
not,
you're hitting 100% of the time.
Yeah, it's not slime allies; it's slime cards, and there's a couple of slime action cards,
right?
Which is really neat.
Yeah, so
that's pretty good.
You're probably hitting you have 5 cards down. You're probably hitting 4 of them because
it's not bad.
It's pretty good.
It's a big boy. So yeah, that is all that we saw really for Tristan's recollection deck. I know that they talked a little bit about
not Tristan.
for Sylvie's recollection deck. I know they talked a little bit about slime action cards.
Yeah.
And I think we might have seen one or two on the stream
We
itself.
saw two. Yeah.
That you guys can go to Gaberry. I believe they have all of the spoilers up so far. If you wanna check in, see how Sylvie's looking as we get closer to her release. But of course, after Sylvie, we have the
All right, chat.
Tristan recollection deck.
Folks, I said earlier that I'm failing from success. And it's because for the longest time, those of you who watch the show, who know me in person, have known how much I enjoy Tristan. How much I've been playing Wind Tristan. Pretty much since the beginning of the game. I tried a Wind Assassin. I loved it. Didn't do well. Then we got Windwalker Boots. I thought it was her time. Didn't do well. It's her time.
It's her time.
It is her time. We are here. We have a full new lineage for Tristan.
This whole time.
And God, they're just so good. I love each one of these cards. We will start off with her new level 1, which is Tristan Underhanded. On enter, you may put a preparation counter on Tristan. If you don't, you gain Agility 3. Agility 3 is a new keyword from MRC that says, return 3 cards from your memory to your hand at the beginning of your end phase. Cam, how do you feel about agility?
I think it's pretty good. I like that Tristan is her like canon element in this recollection deck, and so we're getting a lot of support for Wind Assassin. And it looks like agility is mostly wind based. We've seen a couple of other cards with agility that are going to be in the main set. But I worry about this sort of effect in something like water that has access to, Song of Frost, Fracturize, Frostbind. They did give Tristan a couple of tools of that vein, which make this a little bit frightening.
Right.
But I think it seems pretty good. I would assume this early in the game, provided that you're playing like a level 3 Tristan deck, maybe even a level 2 Tristan deck, you're probably just going to keep the prep counter. But it's nice to have options,
right,
especially if you're in like a more aggressive deck that's not necessarily going up the chain and is just playing Tristan 1, maybe Tristan level 2. You can get some real value out of Agility 3, holding up stuff like Zephyr and Favorable Winds and Reclaim, all these very powerful wind cards.
Yeah. Next on the docket, we have Tristan Hired Blade. It's on enter. If Tristan has 2 or more preparation counters on her, draw a card. And then if she has 4 or more, draw an additional card.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wild effect. I think this is very good because, in my experience, you can get prep counters pretty much instantaneously. You can have 4 prep almost guaranteed every time at turn 3.
Yeah, the thing that I find really crazy about this card, and I love that we sit in a world where a lot of people out there in the world have been complaining this ALC season about the power of Xander Deft Executor, who is, of course, a very powerful card. The difference between these two cards is that Tristan doesn't spend her preparation counters, which is actually insane.
Correct.
Like, you want preparation counters for her deck to function, especially as we, go over her sort of strategy in the cards that they've shown us. So it's like sort of an end goal that you want to achieve anyway. So you're going to be playing these cards that generate preparation counters in the early game because that is what your deck wants to do.
Right.
And the fact that for a like pretty attainable goal of getting 4 prep by the time you hit level 2, you get, I think, the most powerful level 2 in the game, unless it's like Blade Master Lorraine, but your opponent walked into it.
Right.
Like, in a vacuum, draw 2 cards is basically unconditionally is maybe the best level 2 that we've
ever seen. Yep. I have the same feeling.
So yeah, I think she's pretty good.
Yeah.
I
think she's very good. Like, it's literally like it's a nonsense like cost because you just play 2 Korasi couriers or outlooks, and then you're there. pretty
Well,
much.
you're one short, but yeah.
Right. You
It's
know what
easy
I
to
mean,
get prep.
right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean, because like surely you get your boots first,
Mhm.
and then you go to one. You get a prep. You get a prep from your boots.
Yeah, we
and
get
then you
a
play Korhazis, and you're there.
we get a very powerful cantrip as well that they spoiled that gives you a prep, draws
Right.
card.
Yep.
Sort of akin to Juggle Knives. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it'll be too hard.
I don't think so either. And that'll bring us to our level 3 for the recollection. We'll save that little tidbit for later.
What could he mean?
On enter, summon 2 ominous shadow tokens. Put a preparation counter on Tristan. You can remove 2 preparation counters from Tristan. Change the target of an attack that targets Tristan to a Fantasia ally you control.
Somebody put in that clip from last week's episode of Steve talking about shadow clones. Literally last week.
Yeah.
Just put it right here.
What Tristan will do
Ooh.
is make replicants of herself. Forgive my weeb for showing, but like shadow clones. You know?
By somebody, I mean Elise. Sorry, Elise. We've damned you to do editing.
It's so good. It like, God. We have the text what an ominous shadow is. It is a 1/4 unblockable unit. If damage was dealt to ominous shadow, prevent 3 of that damage. Ominous shadow may only declare an attacks against units your champion has dealt damage to this turn. So they're not here for attacking.
Mm-hmm.
They're here to make it so you don't lose the game. This is like just her lineage is everything she needed for her to be a good deck.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not even talking about her cards yet. Like if I just had this lineage plus the wind cards I've been playing, perfect. No notes.
She looks pretty good.
And then we get to her attacks and her spells and her allies, and I'm just floored with like how great all of this is looking.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a something that we have to sort of reconcile today. Is that I think a lot of us, Steve and I included, are under the impression that Tristan seems like overtly very strong, and a lot of her tools seem very strong. But every time that we've felt that way, we've been wrong.
Correct.
I'm sorry, we're never wrong. But every time we felt that way about anything, we've been wrong. So I'm really curious if MRC is going to be like a much higher power level than we sort of expect it to be. So I feel like ALC as a set was not super high power level. There's a couple of standouts, but these Tristan cards seem wild. And like compared to a lot of the tools that decks have now, they seem very, very strong.
Right.
Especially like looking at Tristan Hired Blade, which, like we mentioned just a minute ago, seems so much more powerful than what other decks have access to.
Right.
I'm really curious to see if the other archetypes get a big bump. Before we go too far, something to note about Ominous Shadows is they are the first token Fantasia ally. They have that very not often used object type
Right.
of
Which is
Fantasia.
great.
Something that our friend Sean pointed out is a big stonks to the like Fantasia removal, which has been like traditionally pretty bad because nobody's
Right.
running Fantasia that matter.
But
But
now it seems like
Scatter Essence is wild against Ominous Shadows.
yeah, it's probably pretty good to play those now.
So I think it's very cool that they're exploring that other object type that doesn't have a whole lot of play right now.
Right.
But yeah, we get access to those shadows from Tristan, and then she has a couple of other ways to summon additional shadows. So she gets 2 when she comes into play as Shadow Dancer, and then she has 2 additional cards that allow her, at least that we've seen, 2 additional cards that allow her to summon more ominous shadows. So you can sort of plan to overwhelm your opponent with these ominous shadows, which make combat basically a non-starter.
Right.
I think it's nigh impossible to kill Tristan with combat damage once she gets these shadows set up. Worth noting, though, she does only get to redirect attacks, so this is going to be big for the spell decks, like Mage.
Yep. Something that I've been playing around with because she's on the art to get more ominous shadows is you just play some agility.
Yeah, Innervate's
Innervate agility
looks really cool.
You just down level level back up, get more shadows. You're healing. You're doing the thing that you need to. You're creating ways harder for your opponent to deal with you.
They're also giving Tristan a little bit of interaction. They did describe this deck on the stream as a very interactive deck, and we see that in the form of a couple of new reaction cards that, personally, I think are the best cards in this deck.
I think so as well.
They seem kind of crazy. We have Incapacitate, which is a 4-cost negate target action card activation, fast speed, cost 2 less, class bonus if you are a assassin. Just a straight negate. Most of the negates that we have now are either locked behind an advanced element or situational. Stuff like Frostbind, Flash Freeze do have a way for your opponent to pay for them, but this is just negate target action card, which is wild. That is everything in the game, almost everything in the game that is not an ally is an action card. Correct. If it's not a Fantasia or an item. So I can't see a world where this isn't seeing like near ubiquitous play in Tristan, but also in Xander. Mm-hmm. We also got Stifling Trap. Did you know that they like magic? This is an effect that deals 2 damage to target ally, and then you negate all on-enter triggers from that ally, which is already very powerful.
So what I've seen a lot of people talking about is Goodbye Ghost of Pendragon.
Yeah, very good against ghosts. Sort of.
But a thing that no one else, I don't think I've seen anyone talk about it is Goodbye Dungeon Guide.
Yep, very good against Dungeon Guide. Yep.
Your opponent goes to Dungeon Guide, they banish 2 cards, you're just like, no, thank you.
They don't banish 2 cards.
They don't? It's not a cost? Oh, okay. I thought it was.
Yeah, they don't get absolutely destroyed. But they do, like, you think about a lot of these decks that are level 3 centric, especially stuff like Diana, where she wants to go very low on influence, play this Dungeon Guide, go down to a single card, and then get her Shadow's Twin, shoot you. They're going to put all of their cards down to pay for the reserve cost of their Dungeon Guide and have no cards in hand, and then you just activate Stifling Trap. You say, no, your turn's over. You're not level 3. You're down a card, basically, because Dungeon Guide being a 1/3 body isn't super relevant.
Correct.
I think the most absurd part about this card is that if it's not your turn, you can activate it out of your memory by paying 2 prep counters.
Correct.
Which is just wild. So, like, in this same instance, I'm sorry, Shinja, against Diana, you like don't even have to hold up interaction.
Yeah,
you just like set this down. You say, "Go ahead, dummy." And they play their Dungeon Guide, and you're like, "See you later. It's my turn now, right?"
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Yeah, I think the combination of these 2 cards is going to make the game a lot more interactive, which I think is great. A lot of the strategies that people have had issue with is stuff like, erupting, these sort of like big fireball decks that were the real boogeyman the season before ALC. Mm-hmm. All of these just really get shut down by stuff like Incapacitate. Like, think about your erupting player. They just like, how are they supposed to play the game into Assassin? Like, everybody's worried about, we got a print Tormod script, and I know that we've said that on the show, print Tormod script. Oh my god, erupting's so broken. They just cannot win the game through a single Incapacitate, right?
Right.
Like what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
Banish all of these fire cards. I'll deal you 12. You say, cool. And then they're like, okay, I'll do it again. You say, no. And then they're like, oh okay. Game's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild cards. So good. And then last but not least, we have some of the sort of end-game stuff for Tristan. We do get that card that I had mentioned earlier in Surveil the Winds is a fast activation, draw a card, then put a preparation counter on your champion, provided that you're assassin. And this is sort of that Juggle Knives-esque effect.
Right.
Replaces itself immediately, is 2 cost, is fast, and rather than Juggle Knives being usually not like a super relevant text that you deal 1 damage to your opponent, obviously it adds up, right? But this card directly influences your end game plan of generating more prep counters. It's great in the early game to put those prep counters on your level 1 Tristan before you go up to Hired Blade.
Even if you're
wild good.
Even if you're just like Spirit of Winds, like casting this on turn 1 on your turn, it's not like a non-bow because you're still getting the prep counter, you're still drawing the card. The only thing on this card that's class bonus is fast activation.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised to see this card see some play elsewhere because it is like pretty strong, and there are prep counter effects that you can get use out of even a non-assassin. So
Correct.
I think a really smart design on this card, having it be basically functional all of the time, but faster if you're an assassin. We also have one that I think we do actually want to talk about the text of. In Mastermind Scheme is a 6-cost slow action assassin skill. Class bonus efficiency, double the amount of prep counters on your champion. Then if there are 8 or more prep counters on your champion, you gain agility 3. Steven.
It's time. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Coup de Grace.
Single-handedly making Coup de Grace a playable card.
This card makes Coup de Grace not feel awful. I am so ecstatic.
Is Coup de Grace good? I don't know.
Probably
but it's
not.
now playable.
It's playable.
You can do the thing.
I don't feel bad about having the 1 copy Coup de Grace on my deck anymore with a Mastermind Scheme.
Yeah, this card's wild.
Because, you were like, oh, okay. I play Mastermind Scheme for 3. I Coup de Grace you. Do you have 4 cards in hand? No, take a ton of damage.
The efficiency is really interesting here because Assassin not necessarily known for its leveling capability. So, assumingly you're probably like level 3 when you cast this, so it does still have a pretty hefty cost, which I find interesting. But if you find a way to sort of skirt that in some way, you can make this card really efficient, which I think is a cool build around with Mastermind Scheme. Very cool. We also got some more prep counter generation in the form of Shade Blood Coding. Gives your allies on hit get a prep, which is cool, in the form of a Regalia, which is nice. Last but not least, we have a couple of utility cards that I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time on, but we do have Shadow Strike looks to be the de facto way to finish the game.
Correct.
Has an X cost and becomes a big ol' unblockable attack where X is the amount of times you prepare it, which is very, very good.
Correct.
So you can sort of combo this with Mastermind Scheme and get a whole bunch of prep counters. Attack for 15 unblockable.
Yeah. Here's my...
Suck it, nerd.
Yeah.
They say Song of Frost, you say cool, I'll incapacitate it. Suck it, nerd. It's pretty good.
Here's my 2 for 15. I think that's probably the best odds in the game.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good cost ratio. We also have a new ally, which when she hits on ally hit, she can destroy that ally unless your opponent pays 3. This card doesn't seem great, but it is cool.
It's cool, yeah.
It's very neat.
Yeah, it's like, hey, how bad do you really need that Gildas in play?
She does have stealth, which is good. So she has permanent evasion, so she can just sort of be a thorn in your opponent's side and just make them basically keep 3 cards up for the whole game.
Correct.
Which is
or
pretty annoying.
Lose their allies,
And then last but not least, we have Malignant Athema. Maybe. I don't know. Thame? I don't know.
Athema or a Thame.
Something.
I've heard them pronounce both.
But it has on champion hit, your opponent swaps the cards in their hand of memory, which is also, again, very cute. Great if your opponent is not playing around it. Maybe detrimental if your opponent is mind gaming you and intentionally playing around it. Very interesting
you
card.
Hit them, they just pick up all their interaction.
Yeah,
set down their
they
dead
say,
cards.
"Here's my shit," which is it's really a cool card. So we'll see.
A cool thing to think about though, like if you hit them with 0 memory in hand, do they just set their entire hand face down?
That is interesting. Swap the cards in their hand and memory.
Oh no! Then if there are 4 more cards in memory,
you deal them some damage.
Deal them some damage. Yeah, no.
I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I don't know. Interesting. That is interesting.
Because it's just like, oh, you have nothing in memory. Oh, you can't. You're gonna Song of Frost me. Well, I'm gonna stop you from Song of Frosting. Get hit with this dagger. Put your rest of your hand down.
Right. Definitely interesting.
Here, I'm gonna play these Gawains and just rip your hand apart.
So that's all the spoilers we have for the Tristan Recollection deck. She's looking very exciting. We still have plenty more, I believe. I think there's maybe, half a dozen more cards or something that are unique. Maybe more than that. I didn't quite get the numbers on the stream, so we will see. But, it definitely looks really strong. I think Sylvie looks good, and it's a huge buff for Tamer. And
congratulations, Trent.
Congratulations, Trent. And I'm sure we'll see some more cards, and I know that they are going to be supporting Tamer in the booster set as well. But man, these assassin cards look so good.
Forever, for the rest of time, I will be playing Win Tristan.
Clip this guy.
For the rest of time.
For the rest of time. It's not allowed to do anything else. Even I haven't made that grandiose claim. That's,
cap. It is not
that is cap for sure.
It is not
it's
cap.
A guaranteed cap. I'm going to send a picture every time he's not playing Win Tristan. All right, so before we get too deep into the weeds, this is going to be a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about. We do have MRC to talk about, but thanks to our man Silidar, he's sort of separated them into little chunks about sort of mechanics that are going to be in MRC. So we are getting a new mechanic that we had not seen in the Recollection decks called Imbue. And the way that Imbue works is when you activate the card, you can reveal the cards that you are paying for its activation cost with. If they are the element of the card that you are casting, you get an extra effect. I know that they talked about it a little bit on stream. I find the reminder text on Imbue to be extremely confusing. We understand how it works, but I think if you hand this to a new player, they will have no idea what that text means. Seems a little bit strange. It says you may reserve all cards revealed as you activate this card. If at least 2 of them are wind element, this card becomes imbued. You may reserve all revealed cards as you activate this. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I think it's reversed, right? Wouldn't it be you can reveal all reserved cards?
Right. But I know that somebody asked Sil about it on stream, and he was like, we didn't word it that way because we thought that players would think they have to reveal all of their reserved cards like in their memory, which tracks, but I find that this wording is very confusing.
Yeah.
But the way that this works, as far as I understand, is when you activate the card, you may reveal the cards that you are paying its activation cost with, and if they meet the imbue.
Also it would proc Lux if it was
right.
So
it's,
okay.
I understand what they're going for. Hopefully we can clean this up a little bit. As long as people understand what the mechanic is, it ultimately doesn't matter. But it is definitely an interesting one. It does encourage you to play way more on-element cards. So sort of leans into these like Veiling Breeze sort of strategies, right? There's long bend decks that are basically only wind that are sort of making concessions for cards like Fairy Whispers and Veiling Breeze, but those were basically only in wind, and so we're getting Imbue sort of encourages you to play those on-element cards to make these Imbue cards a little bit more powerful. And they are all pretty good. Just like as an example, Windmill Engineer is Imbue 2 in wind, and on enter, if it was imbued, you draw a card in your memory, which is huge upside. Right. So enough like deck building cost to play around. We got one for fire and one for water as well. So yeah, Imbue looks really neat. And gives a little bit more information to your opponent, which I think is also very cool.
Right.
That you do, it is not only a cost deck building wise to put extra like wind, fire, water, whatever cards in your deck, but also you give your opponent information. So you have to like look at how many wind cards do I have? How many wind cards do I want to show my opponent? This again is something that we see in stuff like Veiling Breeze and Veiled Dash, which I think is a really cool mechanic, but basically only in wind until now. So something that I want to see, and maybe we'll see it in the set because that would be very cool. So I think Imbue would be super sick with advanced element cards because it's a way higher deck building cost to put enough advanced element cards in your deck to imbue them. So I would love to see some like big imbues on advanced element cards that are just like absurd because it is a really high deck building cost. And I think that's a really cool design space. So you take that to the bank unless it's already in the set. They're smarter than I am. Thanks. You did it. I'm proud of you. Something that maybe your favorite Lineage Break podcast talked about.
Hey, chat. People that watch this after.
Clip that in here or whatever. You don't have to do that. I'm sorry. Robots.
We were right again. Never
robot
wrong.
Support.
Never wrong. We're getting robot support.
We're getting some more robot support, and we're getting the introduction of a new mechanic, which is called Power Cell tokens. These Power Cell tokens are 1 reserve cost, normal element, but that probably doesn't matter because you are mostly putting them into play with other effects. that have pay 1 reserve, rest this, sacrifice power cell. Target automaton ally gets +2 power until end of turn. So it gets to buff up our anemic little robots a little bit.
Yep.
Looks like we are going to see sort of a huge power bump in this set if these automatons are like competitively viable.
Right.
Sort of breaks that pattern that we're in now where the 3-cost 2/3 is the most efficient body in the game.
Right.
If these power cells become sort of ubiquitous and automatons become a viable strategy, they have a great way of trading into these 2 power 3 life allies, which is very strong to be able to clear stuff like Frostborn Paladins. And even, if you have a 2 power automaton ally, you can start threatening those really big buff counter Frostborn Paladins, Aeson Protectors, stuff like that, that big 4 life breakpoint that's really hard for a lot of decks to get over. So
I think these
robots.
power cells are great. We get a bunch of cards that produce power cells, and then we get a bunch of cards that benefit off having power cell tokens in play.
Yeah, it seems like the automatons are going to be sort of a holistic design philosophy where you're really benefited from playing a lot of automatons and playing a sort of automaton strategy.
Right.
And Silidar said that each element will have its own automaton strategy. He might have even said each class will have its own automaton strategy. So you can sort of build this as a separate sort of strategy to whatever your champion is trying to do. So I assume, provided that they are pretty strong, we're going to see, your water allies decks, but also your water automatons decks, which is really interesting. And dude, there's a tamer robot.
Yeah.
Robot beast.
We're looking we're looking closer to Gundam Allen.
Gundam Allen coming soon.
Coming soon. I mean,
TM.
We're starting to get robots.
And then last but not least, we just got a little bit of element-specific stuff. I think something that Steve and I have talked about a lot is the sort of element identity that sometimes gets a little bit muddied. The game is very new, so it's hard to differentiate how elements feel, especially in something like DOA, where all of the cards have to be like sort of very powerful. We see a lot of the staple cards come out of DOA because it was the first set in the game, so you sort of have to establish those very powerful cards. But it means that, like, water, for instance, which is supposed to be this floating memory, self-mill based, interactive element, sort of pales in comparison to powerful cards like Creative Shock and Hasty Messenger, getting to do that thing a little bit more regularly. So we see some more spreading of the element identities. The fire identity that they're leaning into here is notably named Increasing Danger, and they are cards that deal yourself damage for extra effects. This is something that we saw a little bit in ALC with cards like Lava Heated Brew, but we are seeing a couple more cards here, and I assume we'll see some more that deal you damage. Stuff like Clumsy Messenger also come to mind. Clumsy Messenger? Jesus. Clumsy Apprentice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think the standout card here is Volatile Fusilier.
Yeah.
I think this card is wild.
It's pretty good. It's a 1-mana 3/1. As long as you are class bonus ranger, but it does deal 4 damage to you.
Yep.
But if you're the aggressor and you know that you're playing against like Luxem Xander or something, your life total doesn't matter.
Right.
Start punching them.
Just put 4 of these down.
1 mana 3 power is a lot.
Put 4 of these down.
1 cost 3 power.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. 1 reserve cost.
Slap me in the face, please. I'm trying so hard. Speaking of Water's identity, we have a couple cards that sort of fit into that self-mill strategy. So we have Lost in Thought, which is an X cost. It's the first time we've seen an X cost on a Grand Archive card that banishes X cards with floating memory from your graveyard to draw a card for each card banished that way. And it has floating memory itself. I really like the art on Lost in Thought.
Yeah, it's very like Dark Souls
He's
adjacent.
he's very New Londo Ruins.
Yeah,
I
headed,
like that. Yeah.
Tanaris heading to New Londo.
I do really like New Londo Tanaris. I don't know. Weebs, if you're in the chat, tell me, are you Dark Souls people? Is that just me? Like, it feels like so.
It makes me want to reinstall Dark Souls 1.
Oh, so good. You want to? Oh, we're going to be asleep. We can do that on the plane. Do you know this on Switch?
I did not.
Yeah, you can play Dark Souls Remastered on Switch. It's really good.
Interesting.
You should.
But we should get a PC. Do you have it on PC?
Yeah.
We should get a game going.
Yeah, I have all of them on PC and PlayStation.
Yeah.
So.
I've never played anyone past 1.
Oh, really?
Because
that's wild.
Because I played Remastered, and Remastered felt so much like a perfect game to me.
It is a perfect game.
That when I went to play 2, because I own 2 and 3 on PlayStation.
Yeah.
When I went to go play 2, it felt
2 sucks. So.
It felt awful to play. Like the controls felt worse.
Dude, that's wild.
So I like.
Does that mean? Hold on, chat. This is a Grand Archive TCG podcast. Does that mean that you have not at all played Dark Souls 3?
I've never played Dark Souls 3.
And you've never watched anyone play Dark Souls 3?
I've never watched anyone play Dark Souls
3. Ooh, baby. There's nothing that I love in this world more than living vicariously through people that can't experience things that I've already experienced. So we'll put that on the docket.
Okay.
Dark Souls 3 is my favorite Dark Souls game.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's Dark Souls 1 and then Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And
I liked Elden Ring.
And then End of List. Well, I guess
Shinja. No.
That's wild.
Dark Souls 1 is a masterpiece.
Yeah, Dark Souls 1 is literally fantastic.
I would give up all of my memories in this world if I could play Dark Souls 1 again.
Yeah.
That's maybe a little far, but
I mean, you can play Dark Souls 1 with me again.
I will.
Because
but like
that game is fun.
I've probably played it 100 times. Anyways, hey, Lost and Dodge is pretty cool. We like Dark Souls. Dark Souls is neat.
Yeah.
We also get Icebound Slam, which is another self-mill card. Puts the top 5 cards of your library into your graveyard. I almost just said waiting room. My brain is like really not working anymore.
No, it's not.
I lied. That Dark Souls thing sounds good. If you can remove all of the other card games from my brain, I need to be like Men in Black, removed all of my memories about anything that is not allies or
I'm very confused about Icebound Slam, which is, it's a 7 reserve cost, 3 attack.
It's 5. If you're a Guardian.
If you're a Guardian, it costs 5. On attack, put the 5 cards from your deck into the graveyard. If there are 5 or more water element cards in your graveyard, it gets +5.
5 or 8's okay.
So it's a 5 for 8.
You're playing a 4 for 6.
Yeah, but that 4 for 6 feels way better
than a 5 for 8. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're like basically the same card.
I don't know. It's water element.
Yeah, that's fair. Dude, it puts floating memory into your graveyard.
This does
kind of sick.
This does kind of fix the problem I had with Water Tenoris, where it was like I 4 for 6 you, but then I couldn't find another 4 for 6 to get you.
You get to play 8 heavy swings in your deck.
You get to play 8 heavy swings.
Heavy slam. All right. Maybe my favorite cards that we've seen so far.
Oh, because they have that funny keyword on it?
No, because plenty of them do.
Oh.
But I think these cards are really cool. We have a couple of wind cards, and the wind thing that they're leaning into here is unique interaction with your opponent, which I think is very neat. We have Cleansing Reunion, which is sort of what we had asked for. Right. Again, rest in peace erupting.
Right.
Is an imbue 2 fast 2 cost action cleric skill. Target player banishes 3 cards from your graveyard. If Cleansing Reunion is imbued, that player banishes 6 cards from their graveyard instead. So this is like Azure Protection Trinket on crack.
Yeah.
It's 2 cost and fast.
I've been doing a lot of complaining about erupting. No more.
Like, imagine this world where your opponent casts erupting, and you say, "I'll respond. I'll cast Cleansing Reunion." They're like, "This erupting's for like 4 now." Okay.
I cast this Cleansing Reunion. I class this second Cleansing Reunion.
Erupting resolves. So I think that's really cool. And then I think even maybe more cool, we have a guaranteed clergy card. A 2 cost wind ally cleric even that has imbue 2 class bonus. There's the funny word for cleric. On enter, if blessed clergy is imbued, target player can't play more than 2 cards during their next turn.
That's wild.
It's really good.
That Your Windari deck looking
That's really
stonks
good
right now.
It's like, you control things. You're playing against these big, burst combo decks, like Merlin or Erupting or even Xander that want to play a bunch of cards on their like
Even
big
Erupting,
pop-off turn.
right?
Yeah, and you say, nope.
Like they go,
It's pretty good, man.
Yeah, it seems good.
It's not bad. All right. The last, well, not the last thing, but the second to last thing on our docket today is we have one card for each advanced element, that being Astra, Neos, and Umbra. I'm going to blow some minds here. I don't think any of these cards are very good.
I think one of these cards is all
Is it
right.
Is it the Neos one?
It is the Neos
The
one.
Neos one's pretty good.
The Neos one is the only one of these three cards.
It's so much. It's basically title sweep. It's just really tough.
But it's not.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of tokens in play, yeah.
Right, which is the whole thing that Tenor
Sure.
does. You just make 1,000,000 tokens and you go, I'll cast this cleave attack for free.
It's true. I think it's good if you're on, we're talking about Blade of Creation, by the way.
Blade of Creation. It is a 7 reserve cost attack guardian warrior sword. I said, thank God we have a cleave that's not in warrior, and apparently I can't
it's a warrior
read
card, yeah.
It's a warrior card. But this card says class bonus, it costs 1 less for each token you control. Cleave 4.
Yeah. The only issue that I have with this card is either like a 6/5 cost cleave, which is like not great, or you're winning the game.
Correct.
Like if Blade of Creation is costing like 2 or something, the game's over.
Yeah.
Like you don't.
Well,
what are we cleaving for? You got so many tokens in play.
No,
so I think the only place that this sees like some real use is if you're playing Tenoris Genesis of Creation and you have like the 3 obelisks in play, but you haven't set up like a big wide board, and that turns this into like a 4 cost, which is pretty good.
4 for 4, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so in that case it's good. But I think if you're playing like the go wide, I'm Jimmy Lee, I casted Assemble the Ancients, I have 40 power of tokens on the board, hey, I'll cleave you, it's like, I guess it does the thing that Jimmy's been doing, it gets rid of interceptors.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that, you use it to get rid of your interceptors.
It's probably better than Flame Sweep, I guess.
Right.
So Jimmy's up huge. It's a functional copy of Flame Sweep that he does get to pay 0 for.
Right.
So that's pretty good. Eternal Kingdom combo up huge. Expunge seems okay. Diana is hot.
Diana
This
is
is some
hot.
art.
Yeah.
It's good art.
This card is fantastic looking.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's any real payoff cards for it.
Yeah, this does sort of lean into that Curse Breaker thing, which is cool. And I assumed, I don't know if this is something that I've talked about on camera or at locals, but we have some people that are excited about Curse Breaker, and I am too. I think she's really cool. And I assumed that the support for Umbra in MRC would be sort of leaning into that Curse Breaker thing.
Because she doesn't really have anything now.
Right, because there's not a whole lot of reasons to play Curse Breaker right now. So Expunge is one of those. Yeah. And if there are big curses that you want to put on yourself, Expunge does actually become quite good.
Right.
So we'll see. I think that would be neat. I think Curse Breaker's a cool girl.
And now we get to the best part of this.
Yeah, so we have one final bit of spoilery stuff to talk about. They've given us a couple of shiny cards. We'll save Stevens for last, so I know he's excited.
Yeah,
so we did get 2 new CSRs from the set that they showed in the design notes. We'll start with the one I like.
Naya.
She's so cute, dude.
She's... I'm a huge
she's so cute.
sundress enjoyer, so
Yeah.
I love this card.
She's so cute.
She is extremely beautiful.
I think she's pretty good, but I'm not really even worried about that. You know what I learned? I have a type, Steven.
Is it this?
And my type is anything that's drawn by Dai, and this is more Dai art. It's like every time I look at a card, I'm like, man,
I love this
I
art.
love it so much. And then I
Look
look
at
at the
what-
artist, I'm like,
That makes sense.
I get you. So very excited for Naya. Unfortunately, she is a mage card. I think I would be quite the mage enjoyer if...
I think we've talked about this.
I'm a mage enjoyer.
You're a mage player.
I like mage enjoying. The problem is obviously that the mage is a cringe boy. Sorry, Rye. Or the Merlin, and Merlin's just cringe. You know, so like,
Both are cringe. Both are true.
I was a big Merlin player in DOA.
Yeah.
because she was cool.
Yeah.
And now she is a cringe.
Yeah.
So, it's probably because she's Crux. What if they just made Merlin Arcane and be like way cooler?
If they made Merlin Arcane, I think it would be broken.
Well, yeah. But to be fair, though, I think I would rather Merlin have Reckless Conversion banned and not be able to cast Ghost Pendragon.
Yeah.
Like, either way, they're casting Fireball at your head, you know? Like, what's the difference, right? All right. So, yeah. Oh, man. Naya's so cute. So, maybe. Listen, I'm not like Steven. I'm not going to say I'm never going to play another class ever in my life. Maybe I'll do a little mage dabbling. As soon as you give me a cute mage girl, right? But,
Set 5 comes out, cute mage girl.
I'd be juiced. I'd be pretty juiced. That would be pretty good. So at the Worlds presentation, we're gonna clip this one out. Here we go. At the Worlds presentation, when they announced the Set 5 champions and Arcane is back and the Mage Girl is cute, sign me up.
You will get another cursed video of me holding Cam down when he's
I don't know if I'll
trying
be that excited
to jump out of his seat.
I haven't built my whole persona on cute mage girl, so like I'm not,
You have time.
That would be cool though.
You have time. You have 4 months to build your mage persona.
Is that how I do it? Just like every set, I just make myself look like an asshole by like demanding some cute girl at a class I want to play. That's what we're gonna do. She's next.
Yeah.
But yeah, Naya's so goddamn cute. Speaking of goddamn cute, look at Vanitas' chest.
Look at them fucking pecs, guys.
This dude's yoked. We got a Vanitas specialization CSR. Well, specialization. Listen to me. I can't stop. That's Vanitas bonus. You don't want to play this otherwise.
Correct.
Called Vainglory Retribution, and it looks pretty good. It's prevention and a big old buff for his face.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It costs 2 less, so it's 2 costs. Looks pretty good for you Vanitas stands out there.
This art is
The art
very
is sweet.
nice.
The beautiful Honshu art, I believe.
Yeah, it is Honshu art, yep. Okay.
Very similar, very talented artists. All right. So, something that we were wrong about
Correct.
is they did show us the CUR.
And it
is not Vanitas, and we did see it, but we are way happier than what we thought. So
correct. So, at the top of the show, when we were talking about Tristan, I had mentioned or alluded to that there might be another level 3 Tristan. Well, there is. Her name is Tristan Shadow Dancer.
No, she's not. I would like to stop us right here.
Oh, what?
And give maybe a poke to the developers. I guess maybe I can poke them. Otherwise, the card that they put in the article is not the CUR. That is yet again the one from the recollection.
Oh, that is the CSR.
Correct.
Oh.
And then it says right here, we're bringing back the CUR, previously only found in Dogma Matches, but they put in the wrong Tristan, I believe.
Okay. You're right. I'm dumb.
So we have Tristan Shadow Reaver.
Shadow Reaver is the CUR.
CUR, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Gotcha.
She says on enter. I'm going to try to do this
He's
from
gonna
memory.
do it, yeah.
I'm going to do this from memory.
I got it locked in, so.
It's on enter. Banish the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. You can play these cards ignoring elemental restriction.
This is correct.
And then it also has text that says this can slide evolve essentially on top of another level 3 Tristan.
That's exactly what it says. It says it can slide evolve.
No, you can level up again on top of a level 3 Tristan to make this.
Yeah, you can level into other level 3 champions.
Yep.
The only target she has currently is Tristan Shadow Dancer,
Tristan Lineage.
because the rest of the level 3s in the game currently all have Lineage, but something really interesting about Shadow Reaver is if they print us another level 3 that is either Tristan or does not have Lineage, she can level into it, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And whenever she levels into another champion, you draw 2 cards, which is also very strong.
Yes. This card is very, very cool. I think, again, it has a lot of implications with Innervate Agility.
She's super sick. Yeah, the Innervate my Shadow Reaver back into my Shadow Dancer or vice versa is very good. Or I guess it has to be.
It has to be that way.
Yeah, it has to be Shadow Dancer back into Shadow Reaver.
Other way. Shadow Reaver into Shadow Dancer.
No, Shadow Dancer can't evolve into Shadow Reaver. Reaver has to go to Shadow Dancer.
I misunderstood how the card worked. Okay.
So it's like Innervate gives you Spell Shroud or in Wind, gives you Spell Shroud or Stealth.
Mm-hmm.
You recover 5. but you don't change your health, which is insane.
Right,
so it's just recover
great.
5. It's so gross in fire.
Yeah.
I think that like fire, Tristan, casting, innervate, healing 5, wiping your board, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's insane. So yeah, I think she's really cool. But sorry, Steven. She is a CUR.
I understand.
And we did
make a statement.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I heard that. I heard that last week when I was looking at last week's episode.
Yep.
If you guys want to catch last week's episode, it'll be up today at 2 p.m. 30 minutes from now.
I will be in the market somehow.
She is 1 in 385 booster boxes.
Yep.
So Steven's going to be opening himself a case of MRC.
Yep.
And we did the math, and Steven himself has a 0.01% chance to open Tristan in 6 boxes. So,
yep.
Good luck, buddy. Glad it's not me.
I'm in the market for some CURs and some CSRs.
So if you guys want to take out a mortgage on Steve's house, you let him know. He's looking to get some hot chuny girls.
Unfortunately, I think what is going to happen for me is I'm just gonna high roll and I'm gonna open both of them. Woo! Boom! I'm gonna open a CUR in my 1 case, and I'm gonna open my CSR in my 1 recollection box.
We've been going on a little bit long, so before we wrap up the show, one last thing that we want to talk about. That is the print run for MRC. That we do have the print run numbers, which is awesome. I love that Weebs gives us the print run numbers. So good. Thank you. So the print run of MRC is going to be a little bit higher than ALC. I think it's only by like 750 boxes. I think we got 27,000 for ALC. We're getting 27,750 for MRC. So it's going to be right around that same place. So, of course, make sure that you get your product at your LGS and you get it soon, because ALC is basically sold out at this point. So you do want to make sure that you get your MRC stuff early, and I assume the prices will reflect that, which is good. I think ALC is in a very healthy place price-wise. And something that we did mention, I think a couple of weeks ago on the show, that I'm super, super happy about is that the recollection decks, we do have the numbers. They're going to be 6,000 a piece is what they were printed at. However, they are reprintable, which is so good. They're going to keep these on the market. They're going to keep them in stores so that these starter products can be given out to starter players, which is fantastic. We don't really have to worry about the singles market, right, of the cards in the recollection decks, because they shouldn't be expensive. You shouldn't have to pay lots of money out of pocket to get these recollection deck exclusive cards, and hopefully the print run will reflect that, and they'll be readily available. And it also means that
it's
those
also
CSRs aren't going to be so bad, hopefully.
Right, and it's also great that you get a playset of every card that you get in the recollection. So if you buy one, you're pretty much golden unless you're like hunting for CSRs.
Yeah, absolutely great. We love to see it. So we hope that you guys enjoyed our little chat about design notes. If you guys want to see more spoilers, if you're watching live, spoiler season starts today.
Yeah.
Today we had a lovely video come out from Mr. Main Deck Dan.
Yeah.
And we are happy to say that great minds think alike, and his skit is very similar to ours.
Yep.
You will see our skit tomorrow, Saturday, May 4th, and then we have many, many other spoilers coming from friends of ours and talented content creators out there over the next week. So make sure to check those out. Spoiler video tomorrow. I don't know what time. I still actually have to finish editing it, so tomorrow. Maybe in the middle of the night. I do like to do that, so it might be middle of the night. 3 a.m. for Roger in Taiwan or wherever he is now. So yeah, check out those spoilers. We'll be getting them throughout the week, and of course, we will be at Worlds next week. So before we go away, we want to do a little bit more shilling. We love some shilling. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to catch the show live, we are here live every Friday, at 12 p.m. Eastern Central Standard Time. 12 p.m. That's when we're here. Next week, we will not be here, as we will be in Las Vegas for Worlds.
Viva Las Vegas.
If you want to catch up with us at Worlds, we will be there. Feel free to come and say hi. We'll be doing lots of recording for the show. I myself will be doing casting for Worlds coverage. So if you want to catch Worlds coverage, go to the official Grand Archive TCG YouTube. It will be over there. You can see my gorgeous face some amount of the time on the stream.
Correct. And if you want to see me, you can find me stumbling around the event. Because I don't have to cast, so I will be drinking, except on the day where Ascent is happening.
Good.
I will
Hopefully
be sitting
not that
at
one.
a table, and I will be losing to you, so hope to see you there.
Call him Gluey. He loves that.
Yep.
Last but not least, we do have playmats. We made a playmat with in collaboration with Lucky Yuki, very talented artist. Here they are.
Hey,
they're
look,
here. It's
here.
Arisana. You guys like her. I like her. You can still buy them. We still have a few left, and we will be bringing the few that we have left to Worlds in Las Vegas. So if you want to catch us and give us a crisp $40 for a playmat.
And that
We're happy to
$40
oblige.
is going right into our alcohol fund.
Woo! You can directly hurt us if that's what you want to do. All right, well, I think that's all we have. It was a bit of a long episode today. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We love talking about the newsy news. We will not see you next week, as we will be recording lots of stuff, but look forward to all of the amazing content that we will bring to you in the coming weeks from Worlds in Las Vegas. Thank you guys, as always, for watching and allowing us to do this. We love you to death. We will see you soon.
Have a good one, guys.